So we're going to jump back into the MacPro training environment to review the report as the state point of contact. The state point of contact has the ability to edit the report, return the report to the state editor for further work, or to submit the report to the state director for review, certification, and submission. So we're logging in now as the Virginia state point of contact. And again, we're using Virginia, but this is not a reflection of their quality measures information in any way. We are taken to our news page like we were previously. We will begin by reviewing the 2015 report as the SPOC, and we're going to go up to the tasks list, and we're going to select the tasks button on the upper toolbar. The report ID we were working on previously had an ID ending in 1001, and we're going to select the Review and Edit Report Child Quality Measures report task for that package. First, we need to accept this task. The reason we are accepting this task is because there may be more than one state point of contact. The task will initially go to all state points of contact, and once the task is accepted, the task is removed from the other state point of contacts task lists, or those authorized to have that information under the child quality measures for your state. So you're going to select the green Accept Task button. You now have the option as the SPOC to select any of the core measures that you would like to review. For this training, we're going to select the checkbox next to the ADD core set measure. We're going to scroll to the bottom of the page. And as you see here, we have three different options. You can return the report to the state editor, go to the selected measure, or send for certification. I'm going to point out that you want to be careful not to send for certification before you're ready to and after you've reviewed all of the core measures. However, if you do, there's no need to fret. It's just going to send the report to the state director within your state, and they can easily send it back to you by denying certification, and you'll be able to continue your review. So for now, we're going to select Go to Selected Measure to review this information. This takes us to the ADD core measure information, and we're going to expand all the fields by selecting View All Responses. And as the SPOC, we do have the option to edit. So we're going to change the status of data reported from final to provisional. Then after reviewing the entirety of the measure, we're going to scroll to the bottom of the page. And we're going to make sure that Yes is selected for validation. The core measure will not display as complete unless validation is on. And then we're going to make sure we save our information. This will take us to the top of the page. We're going to scroll back to the bottom and select Go to Admin Screen in the bottom right. We would continue this process for each core measure. And once our review is complete, we have the option to return the core measure set to the state editor for continued edits, like I mentioned. If you do this, the state editor will receive a notification that the report has been returned to them for edits, and they will have a task in their task list when they sign in to MacPro. We do encourage you to communicate with your team. You can do so using the news page functionality, or you can do so outside of MacPro as well using email. If a SPOC returns a report to the state editor for further edits, it is a good idea to send the state editor a note letting them know what specific changes you would like made within the report. Alternatively, the state point of contact may send the core measures report to the state director for review and certification. And we're going to do that by selecting Send for Certification. This returns us to our task list. We're going to refresh it very quickly. And you're going to see that we no longer have a task in our task list to review the report ending in 1001. I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint now just to refresh ourselves in the steps we completed within this detailed workflow. But this time we're going to focus on the second row because we were just in as the SPOC. The SPOC received an email notification that a report is ready for review and logged into MacPro, selecting tasks on the upper toolbar. And then they clicked on the task to review and edit their report. We accepted the task and began reviewing and editing the core set measures. As we made changes, we ensured that validation was on so that the core set measure would be in the complete status. After finishing the review, we selected Send for certification. Next, the state director reviews the report. I do want to pause to let you know that if you do hold multiple roles within MacPro, for example, if you're the state editor and the state point of contact, you're not going to have to log in and out between these two steps. The tasks will populate within your task list that you are authorized to have. So we're going to jump back into the training environment to complete the next phase of the workflow, which is the review as the state director. We're going to log out and log back in as the state director. And when we log in, we are going to be taken to our news page, which is the same as when we logged in as the state editor and the state POC. And we're going to go up to our tasks list to view the task to review the report. And we're going to select tasks. And we're going to select Review and Certify Report, Virginia, for the Child Quality Measure report ending in 1001. This takes us to the report admin screen. And we're going to first accept the task. As a quick note, you have the option to return the task to all assignees by selecting Return to all assignees at the top of the page. Alternatively, you may also reassign the task to another individual by selecting Reassign Task on the left side of the page. You then have the ability to choose an individual from all assignees or to choose from all users and groups. For this demo, we will not reassign the task. However, this is something you can keep in mind while you are working. Additionally, the state system admin can reassign tasks if, for example, someone is on vacation and their task needs to be worked on, but it's stuck in their queue. Unlike the state POC and the state editor, state director does not have the ability to edit the core measure information. If there are issues with the report, the state director has the ability to deny certification. This will return the report to the SPOC for further review and edits. However, the state director will not have the ability to deny certification until a comment is entered in a core measure. So let's review a core measure as state director, and we're going to show you how to enter a comment. We're going to select the ADD measure, which is the first measure, by selecting that link. And again, this is read-only. We're going to hit the plus or minus sign here to expand the fields to see what we have going on. The state director has the ability to add a comment into the measure at the bottom of the page. And for this training, we're going to add a brief comment such as "it looks great," or "feeling positive today and they did a great job." Again, the state director will not be able to return the report back to the state point of contact for continued review and edits without entering a comment in at least one core set measure. So now that we have reviewed the core set measure information, entered a comment, we're going to return to the admin screen by selecting the option at the top of the page titled Back to Admin Screen. Unlike the other pages we have seen, this does save the comment information that you've entered. There's not a save button for you to select prior to returning to the admin screen. Now I want to take a moment on the admin screen to point out the information available here. The state director may view the report information, such as the annual report ID, report year, extension date if that applies, the authority, and the state. They can also review the audit information, including who created the report and who last updated the report, along with dates and times for these actions. Additionally, the state director may review each measure, the delivery system information, external contractor information, and report documents. At the bottom of the page, the state director has the ability to deny certification or certify and submit the report to CMS. And we're going to certify and submit the report to CMS. This message pops up asking us if we're sure. We're going to select yes. And now, this task is no longer there for us to review and certify the report ending in 1001. CMS has received the report. They've also received a notification that the report has been sent. There's a task in their task list in MacPro. This is the end of the state process flow for submitting a child quality measure core set. We're going to return to the PowerPoint to go back to that state workflow process to review the steps that we completed. We will return to the training environment one more time to go over what to expect if you receive an SMI request, which I will explain. So we're going to focus our attention on the third row, the State Director Swimlane. We logged into Mac Pro as a State Director and clicked the Tasks option on the upper toolbar. And we selected the Review and Certify Report task. We accepted the task and began reviewing the report. We added a note to one of the measures, which activated the option to return the report to the state point of contact. Instead of returning the report or denying certification, we certified and submitted the report to CMS since it was thoroughly completed. This ends the state workflow that is shown on this page. And at this point, CMS receives the report to review. If along the way they have questions about the report, they may submit a Seek More Information request. This is also known as an SMI request. Once CMS's review of the report is complete, they will accept the report to complete the entire workflow in Mac Pro. So we are going to pause for a few minutes again to see if there's any more questions and answers. We can go back and answer some of those questions that were still in the chat box. Jay, can you open the line for Q&A?
No problem. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, please press *1 and immediately record your first and last name followed by the pound key. If you would like to withdraw your question, please press *2. Questions will be taken in the order received, and we will pause momentarily to compile a list of questions. Please remember, in order for your question to register, you must record your name.
Thank you, Jay. And while that's happening, we're going to go back to the chat box to try and answer some of those other questions that have populated here. So it looks like, are the state roles? Oh, did we do that one already? I think we did answer that one. What if we have data for both the Medicaid and CHIP populations? And Megan, I believe you've already answered that question.
I did, but I can also seek to clarify again. So if you want to submit the measures, maybe you want to submit a particular measure separately for the Medicaid population and then separately for the CHIP population. You can use both templates to do so, but if there's one measure, for example, and you want to report data for Medicaid and CHIP combined, you can facilitate that through just one drop-in authority through one template in Mac Pro. You would just click on the authority that you want to report on, and then for that particular measure, there's a section called Definition of the Population Included in the Measure, and Katie went over that in the demo, and there you can tell us whether or not the data for that particular measure include Medicaid only, CHIP only, or Medicaid and CHIP combined.
Great, thanks, Megan. So next is, if a state is a M-CHIP state, should the measures be reported under the Medicaid authority only?
That was the one that I actually
great, thank
raised
you.
From Barbara.
Yeah, that's a question that Rosemary addressed just a little bit ago.
Thank you. And what if we have aggregate data for a measure and we cannot break it down between the children and adult populations? Should we report that measure or not?
I'm going to defer to Mathematica on this for feedback, and if we need to circle back at a later date, that's fine too.
Hi. We understand that some measures, particularly in the HEDIS specifications, are combined for multiple age groups, and we do encourage states to try to break it out if it's at all possible, but if you can't do that, it's still better to report than to not report. So if you do need to report, say, for a broader age group that includes adults, the key would be to note in the additional note section exactly which age groups are included.
Thank you. So next we have, can you confirm the source of the measure is MMIS and question mark? Are there only two options to list the source? So I do remember there was an other option that you could click other and you could explain the source. Megan or Mathematica, did you have anything to add to that?
That's correct.
Great, thank you. So next we have, is it possible to deselect validate in order to make changes? So yes, at any point before you submit it to the next person in your chain or before you submit it to CMS, even though the measure is marked as complete, you can go back into that measure, make any changes you want, and you would just have to revalidate it afterwards. It's not a once you validate it, it's locked forever situation. And then in the case of a state reports the measure using NCQA methodology, how will the denominators be reported? The denominators are population sampling for each measure. Does the state have to recreate the measure? Mathematica or Megan?
Hi, it's Rosemary at Mathematica. I think this would be a good one for us to talk about offline. So if you would like to email the Mac Quality TA mailbox, we can actually discuss the specifics better for your state.
Great, thank you. And we will have that email up at the end of the presentation. So then we have a separate CHIP program, and do we want CHIP and Medicaid separately reported? We've already covered that a lot. When should we expect to obtain more information regarding access to MacPro and timeline for reporting?
I think this is Megan again, and we'll tackle that a little bit at the end of the presentation. But I will say right now that MacPro will open for reporting later this month. I can't provide anything more specific for you at this time. In advance of MacPro opening, in which everyone will receive a communication of when it does open, if you signed up to receive a username and a password, you'll receive that information in advance of reporting. But we'll tackle this a little bit more in depth later on in the presentation.
Okay, we are
Hi,
gonna.
and it's Rosemary at Mathematica. We just want to follow up on the question that was asked about whether Medicaid and CHIP should be reported separately. It has been covered in different ways, but we just want to reiterate that the CMS's preference would be to get Medicaid and CHIP data combined for a single state-level rate if your state can do that. It may be a little confusing with the different authorities that you saw, but the goal for each measure would be to get a Medicaid and CHIP combined rate, although we understand that some states are not able to do that, and that's why there's other options.
Thank you. Jay, I think we're gonna take one question from the queue, and then we're gonna have to keep going.
I currently show no calls in queue.
Fantastic. Okay, we're gonna keep going, and there will be some time for questions at the end. So we're gonna keep powering through, and we'll come back to questions a little bit later. So we are gonna go back into the training environment to go over what to expect if CMS sends you a Seek More Information request. We're first gonna log in as the state point of contact. The state point of contact will receive the SMI or Seek More Information requests within MacPro. And if this occurs, the state will receive a notification from MacPro indicating that CMS submitted a Seek More Information request. The state point of contact will receive a task in their task list to respond to the SMI request for the specific report. So we're first going to go to Tasks on the upper toolbar. We're going to select Respond to Seek More Information Request, Medicaid and CHIP Quality Measure for the report ending in 1002. This is something we put in place prior to this training to stay efficient with our time. Unlike many of the previous tasks we have seen in today's training, the SPOC does not need to accept the task to begin. The SMI response task is automatically assigned to the state point of contact who originally worked on this report for the child quality measures. Now this page shows the specifics related to the SMI request. The federal fiscal year for the report is 2015. There are CMS questions to the state listed in table format. There are files uploaded by CMS if applicable. There's an area for you to upload documents as well. In order to begin answering CMS's questions, select the question number, and we're going to start with number 1. We're going to include the state's response, and in this case, we're just going to put some dummy training information in here. And then we're going to indicate that we will not update the report as a result of the response above. Then we're going to click Save Response in the bottom right. Next, we're going to select question number 2. Like we did previously, enter a response to the state in the text box provided, such as this is an example response for training purposes. However, unlike last time, we're going to indicate that we will need to edit the report by selecting yes. Click Save. Once you finish responding to the questions, we're going to have the opportunity to look at any files uploaded by CMS. You also could look at these prior to answering the questions. You also have the ability to upload any documents to accompany your responses. We're going to upload one document as an example, just to show you how this would work. Again, these are our training documents, just blank PDFs used for training purposes. Once your document is uploaded, you'll see there's a remove button. You could get rid of this if you uploaded the wrong one. And then we're going to click Save Documents. Again, the save process could take a little bit of time. If you click refresh, it takes you back to your page and everything is saved. You'll see Save Documents is no longer available. So now we're going to send the response to CMS by selecting Send Response to CMS in the bottom right. This returns us to our task page. And once you refresh this, you'll see that your task is no longer listed. So now we're going to review how to update the report in case changes are necessary based off the SMI response. We're going to start by going to the Actions tab. We need to uncertify the report in order to have the ability to edit the core measure information. As a point of clarification, you will not need to uncertify all reports that are put into the SMI status, only those that require changes to be made. There may be some SMI requests that only require further explanation, not changes. However, other SMI requests may point out discrepancies in the report that need to be corrected. So we're going to begin the process of uncertifying by selecting Uncertify Annual Report. Then we're going to enter our package ID information, which in this case is Virginia 2015 MCQM _1002. And if you don't remember what this information is, you can easily access it by going to the Records tab at the top toolbar. So our report information comes up, and we're going to confirm that this is in fact the report that we would like to uncertify. You can give a reason to uncertify here, but that's not required. And we're going to click Uncertify at the bottom right of the page. Now there will be a task listed to review and edit the report that was just uncertified, and state users in Virginia will receive that report that has been a notification the report has been uncertified. So we're going to select Tasks. And you see there's a task to review and edit report, child quality measures for 1002. Before we select that, I want to point out that green arrow above the task. It's a little small arrow pointing towards the right, and it's pointing towards me. If you are assigned the task either automatically or if you claim the task already, the green arrow would be pointing towards me. The little arrow just points out who is working on that task, and if you see a little bit further below, there's a task that's pointing towards state POCs. That's just to let you know that the state POC role is currently in all the task lists for those individuals, and it has not been claimed yet. So I just want to point that out in case you're wondering how you know if you've claimed something or not, and that's a way that you can tell. If you have any questions about that and you're not sure while you're working on it, if you have multiple roles that would be populating your task list, you can always reach out to the MacPro Help Desk for clarification by providing a screenshot. So you have the option to update the report and submit to the state director, or to return the report to the state editor for them to work on the edits. So we're going to select that task, so that way we can go into the report and make the appropriate changes. We're going to edit the first core measure, which is the ADD measure. Go to the bottom of the page and go to selected measure. We're going to expand the status of data reported because we're just going to update this section. We're going to switch it from provisional back to final. We're then going to scroll to the bottom of the page, select Save, go back to the bottom of the page, and select Go to Admin Screen. We have now updated this measure appropriately. Oh, you know what? Look, we're missing something. It says it's in progress, so we're going to click that again, go back to the bottom of the page, and select Go to Selected Measure. And we forgot a step here. So we have to go to the bottom of the page, and the reason it's in progress is because we forgot to put validation as yes. So now that validation is put as yes, we'll be able to have our measure in the complete status. We're going to click Save. Then we're going to go back to the bottom and go to the admin screen. As you see now, the measure is now in the complete status. So that's something you can remember if you're not sure why your measure is in progress status. Remember to go back and make sure it's validated. So now we're going to go to the bottom of the page. And we're ready to send for certification since we've now updated the report accordingly. The state director will need to recertify and resubmit this report to CMS, and that process will be the exact same as we reviewed earlier in the training. So in order to stay efficient with your time, we're not going to re-review that process. This is the end of our in-system demonstration portion of today's training, so we're going to return to the PowerPoint to review help desk information and next steps information. We're also going to have an opportunity to ask any final questions. So help desk and technical assistance will be available to MacPro users. We expect users may have questions as the MacPro system starts being used, especially for issues with login information, passwords, accessing MacPro, and viewing quality measure reports. Although there will be trainings and reference materials available to walk through the quality measure reporting, submission, and review processes, there are also 2 ways to get technical assistance. To obtain assistance on using the MacPro system itself, contact the MacPro Help Desk by emailing macpro_helpdesk@cms.hhs.gov. You may also call 301-547-4688. This help desk is for issues related to MacPro access and how to use the MacPro system. The Request Technical Assistance link inside of the MacPro system will allow you to submit a TA request to the CMS Medicaid and CHIP Quality Measures Technical Assistance and Analytics Support Program mailbox. This link should be used for questions related to report content, such as how to develop state rates based on data from multiple data sources, or questions about the measure technical specifications. If you have report content questions outside of MacPro, you may contact this team at macqualityta@cms.hhs.gov. So I'm going to point out there was an individual who was going to follow up with the Mac Quality team. Make note of their email addresses right here, and we will be sending these slides out as well. So to help expedite an answer to your request, here's the information that should be provided in the email request to the MacPro Help Desk. Again, this is related to system questions and user access. We ask that you provide your contact information, the authority you are using, such as adult or child quality measure reports, give a detailed description of the problem, including how many people are being affected by it, if that's applicable, specify the last screen or activity that was performed before experiencing the issue, or if a screen could be relevant to the question that you're asking. Additionally, if you have encountered an error message and you're not sure how to get around it, please provide a screenshot of that error message if that is relevant to your issue. So now let's discuss next steps. If you requested a MacPro role last month, keep an eye out for an email containing your user ID information. If you need an ID, please contact your program's primary quality measures contact for assistance. Please note that if you have not requested a role at this point, we cannot guarantee you'll be able to get one by the MacPro launch date. But do please send in your request as soon as possible, and we will try and get back to you as soon as possible. Additionally, an announcement will be sent when MacPro goes live. After that's arrived, you'll be able to begin reporting in MacPro. Stay tuned for the future release of training materials and other trainings. This is the end of our demonstration today. So Jay, I'm going to see if you can open the line up again for question and answer.